everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. Woo! Okay, now I have to warn you, these videos might be longer than usual, but because I got a lot to say, but it's really good, so hold on to something. Okay, now finally we see Summer happy. Not pissed off, not sad, not angry, none of it. Okay. So, Summer's in the coffee shop. She's about to leave, and she's not watching where she's going, and she literally runs into Jack, Peter Bergman. Now, I have never seen them really act together, and they're great because they both give each other enough room to act. Also, they have the kind of relationship where you believe that they're close friends and maybe family, although they're not. Because I have to go a little bit retro here, but when Phyllis was pregnant with Summer, there was the infamous question of who's the daddy, right? Because she was, hold on, my phone is like, I don't know. Anyway, okay. So there was the question of who's the daddy, and she was having a relationship with Jack, and then also seeing Nick on the side. And this was when everything happened with Cassie was shared, so that's why she was even with Nick. So yeah, okay. So up until she had the baby, and then they had the paternity test, as they always do. It was found out that it was Nick's, but Jack was always close to her, and there's an infamous scene from Y&R from decades now, where Phyllis is in the elevator and her water breaks, so she's going to have the baby, and who happens to be there but Jack? So they've written it as Jack is her uncle Jack, right? Okay, but although there's no relation. Okay, so the fact that they're still close is cool, and the fact that he allows her to speak and not judge her based on what she says is also really nice, because I feel like Summer's character, more than anyone else's, gets judged a lot based on what she says. Although I've said it a million times, I think she acts like a petulant child a lot of the time. So that's why. But we also got some answers as to the Chance and Summer relationship. And it turns out they're on a break for right now. Okay. So that would also explain why we haven't seen Summer and Chance together as a couple for a while. So that answers that in my head. Okay. So they really have a good discussion, and Summer lets Jack know that she's not going to let her grandfather, Victor Newman, um, you know, uh, say anything bad about Abbott's and everything else. So that's really cool. Okay. On the other side, and also you have to understand that today there was A, B, and C storylines, and also kind of B, because the way I look at it is like that's a storyline, but then the storyline with Damien and Amy and all that is another storyline. Then there's another storyline of the Victor and Claire storyline, and there's another one of, I think that's it. But like, there's a lot of storylines that branch off each other, which I think is cool. That's the one thing I like about Y&R, because once you get into it, you understand how everyone's connected, and like I always say, you can tell right away when it's gonna affect everybody, pretty much everybody on the screen. Okay, so we go over to Diane and Kyle and their mother and son. Okay. So Diane's asking Kyle how's it going and all that stuff, right? And he says, well, Harrison is getting really used to being in the suite. But Diane says, but I'm sure you'd like more space to be around Claire because obviously they haven't been dating that much because there's been a lot of stuff around them. The summer thing, the fact that Victor doesn't like the relationship between the two of them, all that stuff. So Diane, being a good mother, she says, okay, well, it looks like you want to spend some time with Claire. So anytime you want, your father and I will babysit. So she gets them a babysitting gig that night. So, Claire and Kyle are going to have a date. Okay, meanwhile, Claire and Victor are having a conversation, and you have to understand that this is grandfather, granddaughter. Okay, and this also answers some questions because I was the one who posed. Well, it seems like Victor is favoring him being with Summer versus Claire because apparently he thinks that Summer can take care of herself and doesn't take any BS from anybody. And I said, well, that's not right because they're both your granddaughters. I'm the one who said that. Okay, so finally, Claire asked the question I wanted her to ask, but I wasn't sure she was going to ask it. I said, well, do you like the fact that Kyle and I are together? Are you for Summer and Kyle and not me and Kyle or something like that? And she asked. And she asked also, do you want Summer and Kyle to get back together? Which is the main question I wanted her to ask. Because I said, well, this is looking funky. And she asked, and he was completely honest with her, I think, and said that he doesn't want any of his granddaughters with him. But because of the child, Harrison, that Summer and Kyle have to deal with each other, whether he likes it or not. But he also said he wasn't going to interfere in the relationship, so thank God. So now, if the relationship between Claire and Kyle don't work, it is clearly self-sabotage on the part of Claire. Okay? So that was a major thing for me because I always had the thought of that because Victor has been known to let his feelings be known and then have other people act accordingly. I've seen it. Okay. So the other storyline, major storyline, is Holden is going to be in Genoa City because Damien is going to be in Genoa City. Now, you can say that Damien is giving Amy another chance, and that may or may not be true, but let's be honest here. He wants a chance with Lily, and he understands that the only way he's going to get another chance with Lily is to be in town. So the reason he's there is because of a woman. And meanwhile, Holden, who apparently Audra has more of a connection than we first originally thought, which I covered in another video, wants to have a friendship with Audra. Now, I say, okay, here comes the question of the week. Can a man and a woman be friends after they dated? Okay, I would say depends. Depends on the level of the relationship and how far it got and how long you were involved and how much you cared for the person. Like if you were deeply in love with somebody, like deeply, I don't think you can go back to being friends. Okay? But if it wasn't that deep a connection as far as your relationship, but you always remain friends, then yes, you can remain friends. But the thing with Audra is, I think she likes to be with Nate. I don't question that, but I like to think of how intimate was her connection or is her connection with Holden. Therefore, because I don't know the answer to that question, I can't honestly tell you, yes, you should be friends with her. I'm friends with him because you might jeopardize your relationship now if you can't hold back your other feelings if they still exist. And also, another thing to the list of can men and women be friends is because if you had a connection but you let it go entirely and you have no more romantic feelings whatsoever for the other person, then yes. But because I can't answer that question as far as Audra, I'm still up in the air with that one. So that's where I am with that. So do I think that Audra is going to break up with Nate or something and have a friendship with the guy and it turn into something else? I could see it happening, but I don't think she wants it to happen. So then, if a woman is telling you no and you're still pursuing her, then it's your fault because she's saying no and you're choosing not to believe her. So that was a lot to unpack. So I warned you guys. Okay.